Open Forum. This is Margaret LOCKLEAR, and I'm your host. And we have today Mr. Kevin Cartwright, Chief Public Information Officer for the Baltimore City Fire Department. As you know, people are coming and going all the time, and you may hear all kinds of sounds, but I want you to know that we have added to our show our own band. What made you want to become a fireman?
Well, actually, in my youth, I actually wanted to grow up and be a coroner. However, as you grow and mature, you get exposed to different things, your focus changes, and mine in turn did. I actually wanted to come into the department and to be a paramedic. I had a few friends and peers who actually worked in emergency medical services and pre-hospital care settings, so that really inspired me. And actually, working in public relations, most of my education is in pre-hospital care and emergency health science through University of Maryland and Essex Community College. So I entered the department, and it's really been a fruitful experience for me.
Excellent. So what do you tell other young people who may be interested in getting or becoming a fireman?
Sure, we actually have a couple of programs in place right now where we actually hire civilians with no previous experience in fire service or emergency medical services. Once they enter the department through our firefighter paramedic apprenticeship program, we give them all the necessary training and education that they need. They'll leave the fire academy with national certifications.
Okay. So in other words, if they want to be firemen, they still have to go through your EMT program as well?
Exactly. The firefighter paramedic apprenticeship program actually dual trains you as a paramedic as well as a firefighter. So once you're out in the field, you're able to function in both capacities. There may be days where you might work on a medic unit, and there'll be other days where you work on in fire suppression, either a fire engine or fire truck.
Okay, and in this academy, do you like partnership with the school systems to find these young people and have them trained through your program?
Yes, earlier in the year 2004, we developed a program called the FEME program, Fire Emergency Medical Youth Program, where we allowed youths from 13 to 15 years of age to come out to our fire academy and learn some of this basic training in emergency medical services.
Okay, wonderful. Well, as you know, we're at the Great Blacks and Wax, and
yes.
It was originally an old firehouse, and they made great use of this facility. Are you familiar with the old firehouse that was here?
Actually, prior to my entering the fire department, I wasn't actually familiar with this fire station, but I have learned that it was previous firehouse.
You said that October was Fire Prevention Month and kick off some type of campaign. Could you explain to us what exactly you do?
Nationally, the month of October is recognized as Fire Prevention Month all over the world. Here in Baltimore City, we hold a week of activities to highlight Fire Prevention Month. In addition to that, we have a smoke alarm program that's been in the department since approximately 1995. And the way that program works is actually we receive monetary contributions from the business and philanthropic community. With those contributions, we're able to purchase smoke alarms that we can provide to the community free of charge.
Wonderful. And what other things that you do? Do you have like tours at some of the firehouses where you have young people you partner with that? I remember as a kid, that was our greatest trip was to the firehouse so we could slide down the poles and, you know, and learn how things work. So
Exactly, we still do that. As a matter of fact, my office, the Public Information Office, is responsible for overseeing community-related visits at the fire station. So what we do, we get calls into the office and we generate hard copy of a request for a community venue to come out to visit one of our fire stations on a date and time. We arrange for our firefighters to greet them when they come and share with them information about their duties, their responsibilities. Let the youngsters put on their turnout gear, their fire hats and coats and things of that nature. So I think the youngsters really get a kick out of that.
yes, yeah, I know I did. Also, when let's go to a break. As I said, my guest today is Kevin Cartwright. He's the Public Information Officer and Communications Officer for Baltimore City Fire Department. And he was just explaining to us about the smoke detector program. You want to expound a little bit more on that?
Sure, the smoke detector program actually functions by, we have our firefighters go out into their immediate communities in which they serve, go on foot, going door to door, asking citizens if they have a smoke alarm. If they don't have a smoke alarm, we'll ask them to complete a very simple application and we'll install 2 smoke alarms for them. If it's a household of multiple people, we'll more likely install 3. We recommend installing them on each level of the home and outside of the sleeping areas. Unfortunately, during the sleeping hours, smoke won't actually wake you up in a fire. It will actually cause you to egress into a state of unconsciousness and you won't hear the smoke alarm when it goes off. So we recommend installing them outside of sleeping areas as well.
Okay. And do you explain to them about having a route, an escape route when this happens and some of the things that you must put in place when there is a fire?
Yes, as a part of the smoke detector program, we also offer the assistance of developing an evacuation plan for your home, a home escape plan. And with that, we recommend 2 ways of escape out of each room. In addition to that, we recommend having some type of ladder that you can hang out of your window if the situation arises and you need to escape in a hurry. Additionally, we recommend that you not use candles. If you should use candles, place them on a non-combustible type material. We also offer the assistance of a home inspection, which is simply identifying hazards in your home. Occasionally people have a habit of piling up clothes in your basement near the furnace. I think we all, may be guilty of that. And what I believe people don't know is that you don't necessarily need an open flame for a combustible material to ignite. If you have a combustible material in close proximity to a heat source, over a period of time, it will ignite. So we recommend that people be mindful of that. Occasionally, people will place a space heater next to their bed to keep them a little bit warmer at night. That's a heat source. So over a period of time, it can ignite your bedspread, it can ignite your carpeting, it can ignite your clothing, it can ignite your dresser. So we recommend keeping at least a 3-foot circumference around any type of heat-producing device.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, as you know, we do have an audience, and every now and then we allow the audience members to address our guests. So then we can find out if we have some questions maybe from the audience. We'll be right back. From the audience.
Hi, my name is Clarence Allen, and as an ex-firefighter and a citizen of Baltimore, how has the 9/11 and Homeland Security and all those concerns impacted the Baltimore City Fire Department? What preparations might the citizens know about from you that have taken place since then?
Sure. Since September the 11th, the tragedy of that date, the federal government has established and set mandates for fire departments throughout the country to raise their levels of preparedness. And what we have done here in the Baltimore City Fire Department, we have increased many areas of training for our firefighters and our paramedics, our first responders, on emergency preparedness and weapons of mass destruction. We have allowed our firefighters to travel to Alabama, Anniston, Alabama, where they receive training in weapons of mass destruction. We have obtained through grants, we've obtained large capacity hazardous materials equipment, chemical monitoring equipment. We have personal protective equipment that we have on all of our apparatus in the Baltimore City Fire Department. And we continue to increase the level of training for our members so that should one of these type of incidents occur, which we hope never occurs, that our members are prepared and are able to protect the citizens of Baltimore.
So because of this, they've also increased training in the hazmat areas because of biological, so-called terrorism?
Absolutely. We train regularly. We have numerous training with regional and local agencies in the Baltimore City.
Excellent. I understand you did a wonderful job when they had the incident at the train station, a couple of years ago?
Yes, I was in the tunnel, yes.
Yeah, wonderful job. You guys cleared that up pretty quickly. It looks like we have another question.
Yes, I'm Deborah Pierce. My question is about the employment, about the dual program that you talked about for the paramedic and the firefighter program. What's the eligibility?
For firefighter paramedic apprenticeship, to apply for that, you must be 18 years of age, have a high school diploma or equivalent GED. That's pretty much it. No criminal background. They do a criminal background investigation. You have to do pre-drug screening, urinalysis. That's a part of the application process.
Is it an ongoing, can you apply anytime, or is it like an open season when you have to apply? Something like
There is an open season. We recently just recruited a class approximately 2 weeks ago, and that class is currently undergoing their training.
When's the next one?
Well, unfortunately, we haven't been able to establish an upcoming date for the next recruit class. We anticipate it being in the near future, and as we do identify the date, we'll certainly publicize through local broadcast and print media.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Until how long does this training last? How long?
The training at the Fire Academy for firefighter paramedic apprentices is approximately 15 weeks.
Oh, wonderful. So they get really good, thorough training. And then they can go on to something else or to a higher level.
Exactly. The training is quite invasive. They learn the basics, which is emergency medical technician. At that point, as a part of that training, they learn, patient assessment, how to monitor blood pressure, how to take your heart rate. In addition, they learn to operate an automated external defibrillator, which you may find in a library or an airport, which is a cardiac device which is utilized when someone has a heart attack. Okay. They go into cardiac arrest, they stop breathing, and their heart stops. So they apply that instrument on their chest and allows them to quick start their heart, so to speak.
Okay, well, it looks like you got people excited in my audience because we have another question waiting in the wings for you.
Okay, my name is Ricky Green. My question is, of course, when people speak of fires, they want to prevent fires, but when they're happening, you have to go through the process of putting it out. What type of within your philosophies of the fire department, what type of how do you trickle that down to the school systems? At Walbrook, there was a rash of fires going on recently. Everybody heard about that. Of course, there's a lot of house fires during the Christmas season. But how do you implement the principles and policies of the fire department into the school system?
Great question. What we do, we have a program through our Fire Prevention Bureau, the Office of the Fire Marshal, where we work within the school systems. We go into the elementary schools, to middle schools, and high schools, and share with them information on fire prevention. We have a juvenile fire setters program, which we implement at times for educating youngsters about fire prevention. On occasion, we've learned that with the youngsters, preschool, elementary age school children, that this information, that they're like sponges, they really absorb this information, and they take that information home and share it with their parents. And their parents hopefully would take that information and actually start fostering better fire safety behaviors.
Okay, looks like we have another question.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Abby Wilson. My question to you is, during the 9/11, and in the city we have a lot of old housing. My question to you is, what is the best fire station for anyone to have in their home to prevent a fire from even occurring? Because the houses here in the city are so old. So how can we do, what is the best fire station that we can really get to put in our homes, to keep our homes safe from electric wires burning?
We recommend common ABC fire extinguisher, which is used for common ordinary combustibles in the home. However, regardless of how cautious one is, fires are inevitably going to occur. So what we recommend is utilizing the basic fire safety tips that we recommend. Having a working smoke alarm in your house, not utilizing candles if you don't have to. Any heat-producing device, keeping 3-foot circumference around those type of heat-producing materials.
Well, we're going to take a break. This is Margaret Locklear, and I'm speaking to you from the Great Blacks in Wax Museum Open Forum. And my guest today again is Kevin Cartwright, Public Information Officer for the Baltimore City Fire Department. Kevin, we were talking about the vacant houses, and I understand that you all have what they call an arson task force. You want to explain a little bit about what they do?
Sure. Just about 2 years ago, the Baltimore City Fire Department, in cooperation with the Department of Housing and Community Development, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, we developed an arson task force. And what that task force does, they identify certain areas of increased activity on vacant structures in Baltimore City. What we'll do occasionally is go out into the community, identify these areas. We'll have our entire Fire Prevention Bureau come out on foot. We'll have fire engines and fire trucks in that community. And we'll go door to door as well, inquiring with citizens to find out whether or not they have working smoke detectors, offering assistance in developing home evacuation plans as well. In addition to that, for any vacant structures that we identify, we have housing community development. If they're not on the scene, we document it and send them the appropriate information and address that they can actually come out within 24 to 48 hours and board up these vacant structures, which will decrease the chances of vagrant activity or people gaining access in these structures in an attempt to keep warm and set fires, inadvertently causing them to burn down.
Right, and they're also responsible for the increase in fires, especially during the winter months.
Exactly. During the winter months, we do unfortunately have an increase in fires occurring in homes as well as in vacant structures.
If you know some of the history of some of our African American heroes who were part of the Baltimore Fire Department, want to share that with us?
Sure. We have a recently retired Fire Chief Herman Williams Jr. He oversaw the operations of the Baltimore City Fire Department for a number of years. He's actually the father to Montel Williams from the Montel Williams Show, which is an honor for all of us. But Mr. Williams served the department for quite a number of years, and I believe worked actually in a number of other agencies within Baltimore City. Currently, we have our Deputy Chief of Administration, Mr. Antonio Thomas, who oversees all the administrative aspects of the Baltimore City Fire Department. Currently, our command staff of the Baltimore City Fire Department is currently 50% Afro-American, so I think we are in a tenure right now that has never been experienced in the department. So.
Exactly, because there was a time when African Americans weren't even allowed to be firemen.
Exactly. In the recent past, we recognized one of our fire stations after a gentleman by the name of Arthur Smokestack Hardy. We actually renamed one of our fire stations after him on McMecken and McCullough Street over in West Baltimore.
Okay.
Truck 16 and Engine 13. Arthur Smokestack Hardy was one of the first Afro-American fire buffs. As a youngster, he actually lived in that community, and whenever there was a fire in that community, he ran out of his house and actually followed and chased after the fire engines and fire trucks going to these fires. So it was a really pretty big deal for him.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with you. Kevin, I want to thank you for joining me today, and my audience. You've been most informative and a wonderful guest. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And folks, if you want to, come and join us here the first Monday of every month. We tape the Great Blacks in Wax Open Forum, and you're also welcome to visit our gift shop. Plenty of wonderful things and gifts that you can buy for your families. And if you're interested in taking the tour, contact the number that you see at the bottom of your screen. I want to thank you again. This is Margaret Locklear asking you to join us again next time on the National Blacks in Wax Open Forum.